Hey everyone, thanks again for joining us for another training session and really the last training session prior to Giving Tuesday. And so as part of this bootcamp in partnership with the Rockefeller Foundation, we've been really focusing on how can you plan your campaign successfully? What are the essentials to kind of effectively raise money on Giving Tuesday? But also then what are some of the best practices for promoting your campaign, or really positioning your campaign to the audience you're trying to engage? Increased participation has obviously driven up the kind of competition or really the noise. And so it's really important to kind of get that promotion strategy right. And that's what we spent most of our time last week really discussing. On this week's training session, we're really going to be focusing on actually reviewing real strategies. So as part of the grant, or as part of being a grantee in the program, one of the requirements Rockefeller Foundation had is submitting a strategy. And so that strategy, according to the original documentation, I believe is due on Friday, and that'll be submitted to the Rockefeller Foundation through Jeremy and his team over at the Rockefeller Foundation. But what we wanted to do prior to that was really give the opportunity for some of you to share how you're approaching this, what you've kind of put together with your team as you've been thinking about Giving Tuesday, really in an attempt to help you solidify your plans, but also give you the opportunity to hear from others and kind of see how that might influence and impact how you might structure your campaign. We really wanted this session to be a collective learning between the group of grantees. So we've had 3 organizations that are out of the 8 agree to kind of share a little bit more about what they're doing. And we're going to be diving into that in just a few minutes. But prior to that, I just want to take a few minutes to really kind of map out where we're headed today, just so everyone's kind of on the same page of what we'll be spending our time on today. First and foremost, we're going to do a bootcamp next steps. So what this is going to look like is really just showcasing kind of where we've been and where we're going. So you have a clear idea of what the remaining steps are and kind of where we're at in the process, or where you should be at in the process in planning your campaign. And you can kind of benchmark yourselves and your team's progress against that as well. It also set some expectations for what's coming up towards the end of this week with being able to submit some of your campaign strategy details. It'll also set the tone for what some of the best practices are, which is really to launch your campaign this week and promote it through Giving Tuesday. And then we will be doing an after action session very similar to this, where we're going to be sharing collective learnings together on a call on December 4th. And then kind of wrapping up this program and this initiative on December 7th with kind of turning in your final items to the Rockefeller Foundation as per the requirements. We're also going to be talking about just a Giving Tuesday recap, just covering some of the best practices and some of the basics that you really should have a handle on at this point in the process. But if you don't and you have questions on that, we can talk through that as well. And then we're going to spend the majority of the time allowing these 3 organizations to kind of give a sneak peek into what they're thinking, what their strategy is, and then we'll be diving into live Q&A. So as always, if you have any questions or comments throughout the presentation, feel free to drop them in the chat, the Zoom group chat. You can message those out to everybody, or if you have a specific question for myself, you can also message me privately as well. And that's any questions, whether it's about Giving Tuesday, about CosVox and using CosVox for your Giving Tuesday campaign, or any questions that you might have for the individuals sharing their campaign strategies later in the session. So let's go ahead and get started. So this is kind of just a roadmap of where we've been. Obviously, bootcamp application and kind of the grant application. We went through training 1, where we really focused on planning. Training 2 focused on promotion last week. At this point in time, you really should have a clear Giving Tuesday campaign plan. So I know some are still working on that based on some of the feedback that I was given via email between last week's training and today. However, it really should kind of have a solidified plan in place at this point in time. The next step was training number 3, which is this feedback session. And so after today, we'll have that completed. We recommend that you actually launch your campaign this week. And so by November 16th, which is on Friday. And what that allows you to do is really kind of begin to build traction and kind of promote the awareness that you will be running a Giving Tuesday campaign. And a lot of times what I saw when I was personally running Giving Tuesday campaigns is that gave us an opportunity to get initial traction and momentum on the campaign, so that when we actually went live and kind of did our major promotion on Giving Tuesday, we already had some momentum build up. And so it looked as though the campaign was moving forward. But it is best practice to kind of launch that and begin to execute. Campaign strategy, this is really just submitting your strategy to the Rockefeller Foundation. I had asked last week if you could provide some basic details to us here at Cosvox, which is part of what you'll be submitting as part of your campaign strategy. We would still like that. If you haven't submitted that, I'll follow up with you afterwards. And what we're going to be using that for is our team here at Cosvox is going to be putting together a website landing page. And this is part of the bootcamp in partnership with Rockefeller, and we're working with them on this. That's actually going to highlight your organization's efforts. And so our intent with this is that as we here at Cosvox promote the bootcamp opportunity leading up to Giving Tuesday and on Giving Tuesday, we have a central place where people can learn about your organization's efforts and give them the opportunity to contribute. And so that was really the intent behind those requests. And so if you submit those, we'll be able to add you to that landing page. And the sooner the better, just so that we can get that up and begin to promote. I know the Rockefeller Foundation will be sending out a blog post just announcing the partnership and the opportunity. And we'll be doing the same here at Cosvox. So it's a great opportunity for you to get some initial exposure, and then we'll be using that landing page to promote throughout the rest of the campaign timeline. The next step in this is really on you all, really focusing on promoting your Giving Tuesday campaign from now through Giving Tuesday through the end of that week. It's always important to not just end your efforts on Giving Tuesday, but either roll them into your year-end appeal if that's something that you're looking to do. Or what I see and what we did is, even though our campaign was a 24-hour campaign on Giving Tuesday, we still promoted it and kind of showcased the impact and still gave individuals the opportunity to contribute towards that campaign effort through the end of the week. And so that's why I put November 30th on there for your promotion. Next up is campaign after action. That's going to be on December 4th at 1 p.m. Similar to this, where we're just going to discuss, there'll be some pre-questions so you can come prepared to share a little bit about what you learned from your campaign, what went right, what went wrong, what was really missing, and maybe if there was anything confusing. The goal with this discussion is really to finalize those after action reviews so that you can turn them in. And it's helpful for us here at Cosvox as we continue to look for ways to help organizations run effective fundraising campaigns for Giving Tuesday and other times throughout the year. And so your feedback during that after action review will be great. So just a few review points on Giving Tuesday prior to jumping into the discussion with some of our organizations today. At this point in time, you really should be able to answer most of these questions. And so these are kind of the core questions that you're answering as part of your campaign strategy. You know, what are you fundraising for? So like, what are you trying to accomplish? Why does that matter? What does that look like? We talked a lot about that on training number 1. And then what does the success look like? So what is the specific goal that you have in mind? And how are you measuring success internally? But also, how are individuals able to know what they're coming together and trying to rally with you towards? And so that's what success looks like. The next thing is, where are you hosting your campaign? So many of you are taking an opportunity to use Cosvox's fundraising platform to create a page similar to what the Center for Community Solutions has done here in previous years. And so being able to mock up kind of a centralized place where you're going to highlight your campaign efforts. I know others are using other tools that they may already have, and so that's fine as well, but it's really important to still have a dedicated place that you're going to be directing your supporters, whether that's a campaign that you build on Cosvox, another tool, or a dedicated spot on your website where people can really support your campaign in the form of donations, but also being able to share that out. And so you give them an asset to clearly share that out with their friends, family, and community on Giving Tuesday. Fourth question is, who are you targeting? Who are you really engaging in this campaign? Maybe it's your entire audience. Maybe it's a segment of that, but really focusing on that. And then how will you promote your campaign? Those are really the 2 questions we focused on last week in the training. If you missed any of those trainings, or if some of this stuff you're still working through, you do have access to all of those trainings in the archive and the resources folder that we sent out. And so if you have any questions about accessing that, please let me know either in chat or by email. I'd be happy to connect you to those resources again. Or if you're really kind of struggling through any of these questions, our team here at CosVox is a resource for that. And so you're welcome to reach out to me as well. I'd be happy to schedule personal time with you. I've already done that with a few of the organizations that are participating. And so if you want to spend just dedicated time really thinking through this, we're here for you during this process, and we really want to help you drive success. So feel free to reach out to myself, and then Candace or I will schedule that time with you as well. And at the end of the day, this is really going to drive you down to some clear deliverables. And so you're going to have your campaign strategy and plan, which is kind of the answers to all those questions. You're going to have your dedicated fundraising site or donation page. You're going to have a clear promotional plan. And so what does your timeline look like between now and GivingTuesday and then thereafter? Some of you have showed me your promotion plans already, and they're on point. And that's exactly what we had hoped for as part of this. And so having a clear timeline and plan for your promotion is another key asset. And then of course, knowing what you're going to message and the content that you're going to share out through a variety of channels as part of your promotional plan. So the plan is really the map, and then the messaging and content is kind of the assets that you're actually going to be leveraging as you move forward throughout your plan and push into GivingTuesday. And so these are really the 4 deliverables, if there's any clarity, because I know some reached out and we're just like, oh, we're having trouble just trying to figure out exactly how to wrap our hands around this. And this is really the deliverables that you should be kind of ending up with as part of this bootcamp. And that was really our goals and intent. And I should have been more clear about that early on. So I appreciated the nudge to kind of clarify that. So this is what we're working towards. And as I mentioned, if you don't have a fundraising site already set up or a plan to create one on your own, Candace on our customer team here at CosVox is still available to work one-on-one with you to actually create your site for you using CosVox's platform. And so please reach out to her or someone on our team so that we can connect you with that if you're planning on creating that. I know there's already organizations that have done that and are in the process of finalizing that. And so it's great to see that tool be a resource of value to the participants on this, but still available. And so feel free to reach out to us if you'd like to take advantage of that. So now for the rest of our time, we're really going to let 3 organizations kind of brief us on their campaign strategies. So talk a little bit more about their organization, like what their organization's all about, because we haven't really introduced the participants. And so they're going to share what their organization's about, what they intend to try to accomplish on GivingTuesday, what are they raising money for, what does success look like, and then give some insights into kind of their strategy and how they're looking to promote, and some of the messaging and ideas that they've learned, and maybe even some of the challenges that they've struggled with or kind of been able to overcome as part of this process. So I'm so grateful for these 3 organizations' efforts. And as you're listening to these organizations share, some are just going to be verbal. Some are also going to be sharing their screens to share materials with us. I'd like you to consider 3 questions because we're not able to kind of have a full discussion. It's a little difficult to facilitate that on Zoom where we're really giving these participants feedback verbally. However, what I would love, and I know it would be beneficial to each of these organizations, is if you have questions or you hear something that really resonates with you, feel free to drop that in the chat pane. You can ping them directly, or you can just chat out to everybody, and they'd be able to hear that feedback. If anything's confusing, or maybe a message of what they're trying to do, or something that the language that they're using is a little bit confusing, feel free to note that as well. Or if anything's missing, or if you feel like there's kind of a missing element to their strategy, feel free to do that. The goal of this is to provide some feedback towards that, and I'll be kind of commenting as well from what we've learned here at CosVox in regards to some of these campaigns as well. And so keep those things in mind, and again, feel free to drop any questions or comments that you have throughout this session in the Zoom group chat. So I'm going to have Quinton from DataKind go first. So Quinton, let me set you up so that you can chat in. So Quinton, everyone on the call should be able to hear you at this point.
Can you hear me?
It's a little soft, but we can definitely hear you.
Okay. I will try to speak up. Is that better?
Yeah, I appreciate it. That's great, Quentin. Thank you so much again for sharing. And we'd love for you to share a little bit about DataKind, and then also kind of share anything you would like to do. And feel free to share your screen as well, if that's helpful to kind of showcase some of that or some of your efforts.
So people can't see what you just put up, or you're not putting up my slide?
I can put up your slide for you if you want to kind of brief on DataKind while I pull that up.
Yeah, sure. First of all, my name is Quentin. I'm the individual giving lead for DataKind, and just wanted to really thank Cosvox for your coaching and the time you're putting into helping us do our first crowdfunding, and also for Rockefeller for making this happen. Our number one goal with this campaign is, because it's our first crowdfunding, is to learn. And see what works and resonates with our community in putting together a crowdfunding program. The two facts that we're working with to start off is one, November 27th is GivingTuesday and has proven to be a big day for crowdfunding. The other is that DataKind, which, just a little background, we are a pro bono data science consultancy. So we work with other nonprofits to harness the power of artificial intelligence and machine learning in the service of humanity. One of the challenges that gives us from a crowdfunding standpoint that we think might be giving us is that we do not ourselves have direct line to end user impact. So we can't say that because of our work, we have cleaned up 1,000 acres of woodland, or given drinking water or immunizations to X amount of people. It's our partners who actually have that relationship. We just try to work to leverage machine learning and AI in increasing the impact of our partner organizations. So it might be a challenge in how we word this, but what we do have also is 18,000 registered volunteers around the world who are in 5 chapters. So the main question we go into this as far as an objective is to ask the question, can we turn volunteers into donors? Those 18,000, and use those 5 chapters to mobilize them to do fundraising instead of project work, or in addition, I should say, to project work. So that's the question we go into here. And then the second objective is to execute a communications plan for GivingTuesday. And for that, we will be using the Cosvox platform. So a sub-objective in that case is to test a new crowdfunding platform, Cosvox.
Absolutely. And Quentin, if I can jump in real quick, I know like you and I and your team talked early on in regards to kind of that challenge you brought up, where you don't have direct kind of the end outcome, but you're like helping to facilitate that. So following our conversation, really talking through that challenge, where did you guys end up, or how are you planning to communicate kind of the impact that your organization has?
The actual goal for the organization is to raise unrestricted funds for our general work. Mm-hmm. Our thought was, in that regard, is to really focus and work on the 18,000 volunteers that we have, as opposed to trying to go to a broader audience. The concept is that the volunteers understand our mission already, and so we don't have to explain it to them. All we're asking them to do is then support something they're already giving their time to. And so our objective here is simply to see if we can go from volunteer to give, or give of time to give of money. All right, and our hope is to learn a number of things from that. Which people are doing this, why they're doing this, to get a base of those who are, go back to them later on, ask them, what was it that got you to give, so that we can begin to repeat that in future exercises. Also to see if we can get our chapter leaders behind this sort of fundraising. And have them talk to, and these people are in Singapore and Bangalore and London. You know, will there be regional differences? Do those countries even know that there's a Giving Tuesday? Might be a question. So it's really an effort to answer questions here more than anything else, and set us up for future crowdsourced programs.
Excellent. And I know one of the things we talked about was obviously your group of volunteers obviously volunteer for a reason. And you had mentioned something that I thought was interesting, because I was like, well, why do they volunteer? And you said, you know, being data scientists, they not only have a craft, but they also enjoy connecting with like-minded people and kind of doing things together. And so as you're looking to engage, how are you guys planning on trying to activate this? Or is there any unique ways that you guys are kind of working on really tapping into the specific audience that you're trying to reach?
Yeah, a couple of things. I mean, first of all, we've got an ultimate nerd community. And so playing to that, and at the end, you'll see some of the things we're doing to just play with the words that this community likes to play with, and the thinking that they like to play with.
Are you talking about right here, is in the suggested donations, Quentin?
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, I'm not seeing your, hold on a second. Okay, yeah, down there. So, and this isn't finalized, but some of the things we're playing with is like a first level donation of $5.04, or expressed differently would be 05.04, or May 4th, or May the 4th be with you, which is a huge joke within this community. It's a reference to Star Wars that they all love. The next donation level is $10.11, or 1011, which is reflective of binary code, bits and bytes. And because there's a 0 in there, it's just a bit off. The 31.14 is pi times 10. 36 is a magical number within data science and math. It is both a triangular equation and a square. So, you know, real nerdy stuff. And then at the high end, 10111, which would be a pun on the second level donation of just a bit more. So anyway, we're coming up with a whole bunch of these different ones. I just threw these in here to just sort of play with it. But this is the stuff that really turns the community on, playing with these puns, an insider's approach to it. What we're putting at the sort of the front of this whole thing is our executive director, Jake Porway. He is known and loved by all of these folks. So we're putting the appeal right into his words. This letter that appears here to the DataKind community is directly from him, his words, saying why this is important, what we're trying to do, what Giving Tuesday is, if they don't know, and making the appeal as directly as possible. So we really think that that's the thing that's going to get to the heartstrings. At the same time, though, because the CauseVox platform offers 5 different team approaches or participant approaches, we are going to create sort of teams around cause areas that we work in. So we'll be looking like at resilient cities, rural power, agriculture, global health, seeing if there's certain areas of interest that people will want to give to more than others. If there's any huge standouts in this, obviously that's probably a place we'll play towards in the future. And you know, it'll give us a real good idea of how we should be angling these campaigns going forward.
Yeah, excellent. And I love the specificity of like targeting your message directly to your audience. And I think like even just from our conversation, it was a reminder of how important that is to really understand who your audience is for your organization, because it's not everybody. And getting really, really specific and almost leaning in so that if someone outside the group saw it, they might hate it, but the people in the community, like they totally get it, they love it, and they're also willing to share that with others. And I think that was another outcome you and I talked about, was like, how do you actually get data scientists to share with other data science, because it's that like interesting or kind of specific to their efforts or to them as individuals.
Exactly right. Yep. So if you scroll down, Noah, you'll then, we just basically sort of listed our cadence that we're doing this, but that letter will serve 2 purposes. It's going to be our first communication that's going out November 14 or 15. So
Okay.
I'm just skipping down a little bit there.
Yep.
But it will also be the body of the landing page on the CauseVox site. So Jake's words will be holding that together. So we'll repurpose the majority of that letter right there on the site. And then following that, November 19th to 26th, we'll be doing a lot of social messaging. We have a very strong Slack community. Twitter is very, very strong for us. Facebook somewhat. There's also some real sort of heavy lifting data science communities on GitHub, where there's a lot of sharing done. So we'll be posting there as well. Sending out a second email communication during that time period. And then on November 27th, we're planning to do one in the morning, one in the afternoon. New news to me just now that you want us to carry on with the campaign afterwards. We were just going to send a thank you note afterwards, but maybe we should plan on doing some more communication there. And then scrolling down a little bit more, just I threw in a graphic of some we would be using on Twitter and some of our other social platforms. So we'll be doing social messaging the entire way through. And this is just one example. We'll be coming up with more dynamic types of creative as well.
Excellent. Well, first, Quentin, thank you so much for sharing this detailed plan and kind of allowing us to give the other organizations kind of a sneak peek into what you guys are doing. I'm really grateful for you being able to share that.
Thanks.
One point of clarity is on the recommendation for promoting after Giving Tuesday. Mm-hmm. It's just an opportunity I've found personally, and we've seen work where individuals that maybe couldn't have supported the campaign on that day, just giving them an opportunity to still be a part of that, especially if you haven't hit your goal or there's still an opportunity to kind of contribute to the effort. And so those last couple of days is usually, like you're saying, a thank you, showcasing the impact of what you guys did together, but also anybody that hasn't contributed, maybe giving them the opportunity to kind of get involved as well.
Yeah, and by the way, one thing I left out is we'll be plugging into Google Analytics, so we'll be watching user interaction with the campaign. One other thing is that this volunteer database, we have a very, very high open rate against that database and a very low unsubscribe rate. So we'll be watching very closely on that to see if, our relines are getting opened when we start asking for money or talking about things beyond doing project work, and if there's a higher than usual unsubscribe rate because of it as too. So we'll count that as sort of voting and be very careful about that. And I think that'll help inform what we do after the 28th.
Great. Well, Quentin, there was one question that came in from Joyce at We Robotics, which is another of the organizations that's going to be sharing a little bit later. If you see the question in the chat, basically she says she's a part of a task force. She just loves the target market being your volunteers. She was just curious, are you raising money for a specific thing or specific tools for data collection?
Yeah.
Do you want to speak to that? I think you already mentioned it, but maybe just to reiterate what you guys are raising.
It's tough. I mean, look, our output in the end is really two things. It's pro bono data science hours. And just to put a little context around that for folks, data scientists are some of the highest paid people in the world today. So a data science hour is extremely valuable. And when we do our projects, I mean, we're talking in the range of thousands of hours being donated. So it's really big, but I think sort of a boring thing to put out there to say, we're trying to, help fund us so that we can have more data science hours. The other thing they come up with is obviously algorithms. And again, maybe the community might think that's sort of cool, like, how many algorithms can we get? But there's no guarantee of it either. So if we were to raise a certain amount, we can't say absolutely we'll have, for every $10,000 is an algorithm. We just don't have that at our fingertips. It's frustrating. I would love to be able to come up with, something that would work. So that's why we're playing with the donation amounts and making them sort of fun, trying to gamify it a little bit So hopefully people will want to lean in and say, I want to be, you know, the 10 pi donor or whatever, because this is all just going to general operating, or, you know, unrestricted general operating funds, and hopefully a load of learning. But thank you for the question, Joyce. I understand it, and we're a little frustrated that we don't have something. That there is a thought that, you know, do we go do future ones of these with specific projects in mind, so that we can sort of take credit for the impact that our partner is having directly, just not quite there yet, but probably something we should consider.
Well, again, appreciate you sharing, and we're going to go ahead and move on to the next one. But Joyce at We Robotics, if you have any other feedback, it says, I have ideas. I'd be happy to connect you guys offline as well if there's any kind of collaboration efforts that might be helpful between you.
And we love We Robotics and everything you do, so absolutely.
Excellent. Okay, well, thanks so much, Quentin.
Thank you.
The next organization we're going to have share is New Yorkers for Parks. So I believe Caitlin is going to be sharing for New Yorkers for Parks. Caitlin, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, absolutely. Thanks for joining us again. And if you don't mind just kind of starting off by sharing a little bit more about New Yorkers for Parks, and
Sure.
then we can kind of pull up anything, or if you just want to talk through it, or I can pull something up on my end, whatever is best for you.
Okay, sure. I think I can share my screen for our Giving Tuesday Cause Box page, if that works.
Excellent. Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay, so I'm the Development Associate for New Yorkers for Parks. We're a nonprofit based in New York, and we essentially defend parks and open spaces through all 5 boroughs in New York City. A lot of what we do is research and policy. We'll research areas. Lately, we've been doing a lot of work in areas facing rezonings to calculate park use, how many parks, how well maintained the parks are, and we use that data to develop policy recommendations to help local advocates advocate for their own parks and open space needs. And we also do a lot of outreach and programming with community groups in different communities throughout the boroughs. We've been hosting convening meetings, bringing parks groups together to talk about parks and open space issues within their own boroughs or parks specifically, so that they can share ideas and help each other. So a lot of what we do is empowering advocates and community groups to do to improve their own parks for whatever suits their needs. So a lot of it is supporting them and the work they do in these open spaces. Yeah, so that's kind of a general overview of New Yorkers for Parks. I'm going to try to share our cause box page now.
While Caitlin's doing that, I think one of the things that was interesting was kind of talking through their strategy and how what they're doing is really about obviously protecting these parks, but it's not just for the sake of protecting the parks. It's about what protecting the parks actually means, which is creating safe spaces for communities to come together in the 5 boroughs around New York. And so again, similar to Quentin's kind of thing where the obvious kind of narrative might not always be the kind of the best narrative. And so I enjoyed talking to the New York for Parks team kind of to talk to that. And so Caitlin, you can share a little bit more as well.
Yeah, Michelle and I, Michelle's our development manager, and we had a conversation with Noah the other day about how, I think you'll see it in the first paragraph. My screen should be shared now, I think.
Yeah,
right?
We can see it. Yep.
Okay, great. In the first paragraph of our Giving Tuesday page, we say that these are the spaces that allow communities to come together, celebrate culture, exercise, relax, play, experience nature, and engage civically. And people don't always realize it, but parks provide a lot of positive things for communities in terms of health, both physical and mental, coming together, exercising, relaxing, or just having a beautiful natural place in your neighborhood. But it can often seem like these issues are pushed to the side or not thought of with all the other important issues in the world today. So we wanted to use this opportunity to remind people of the importance of parks and how critical they really are to urban infrastructure. So that's what we tried to do in a lot of our messaging in our Giving Tuesday page here, and then also in some of our emails and social media posts that we're working on. And a lot of what we do is working with people. So we want to highlight the people we work with and feature them throughout the campaign. So we're planning to have, I think, about 3 or 4, depending on how many people we can manage to get in touch with, to post updates, basically doing a little profile on them, saying, meet Joanna, she is a parks advocate in Queens, and this is her park, and this is what she's done for her community, and how she's worked with us before, and just sort of putting a face to the work throughout the campaign. On Thursday, we're featuring an advocate named Rosalina, who has been one of our most dedicated volunteers for many years. So we're in touch with her. We sent her some pictures that we're planning to post, and as well as a little narrative. And we're going to post that on our Cause Vox page in the updates section here. And then we're also going to share that on all of our social media. So on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. And we're working with our communications director to draft some of those posts.
And who are you going to be promoting this out to, or who's kind of like, when you think about who the audience that you're trying to engage in your campaign, what does that look like?
Yeah, so we're kind of promoting it to our general audience. The people on our newsletter and who have signed up for emails are most of the people that we're promoting it to, and donors are on that list as well. So we're promoting it to both pre-existing donors and others who are just interested in receiving communications from us but haven't necessarily donated before. And then later on in our campaign, we're actually sending a few emails from program staff to more targeted groups. We've had this panel discussion called the Open Space Dialogues, which was basically these panels discussing open space issues today and the intersection with other issues. Like our most recent panel was on the intersection of parks and transportation and some of the issues that we're facing today. So we're sending an email out to all those attendees from our research and planning director, who knows them a little more, some of them, and who also has been in touch with them via email previously. So it's a little more of a familiar name rather than just coming from our generic email inbox. And we also have another project called the Daffodil Project, where we distribute free daffodil bulbs to people across New York City. And our director of the Daffodil Project is going to send emails to all those registrants to try to get them to donate as well. And not all of these people necessarily have the capacity to donate, but we're hoping that people might contribute a small amount or might just share the campaign with their networks. We're really eager to try the peer-to-peer fundraising, because that's not something we've really done much of before. So we're hoping also by featuring the advocates that the advocates will share this on their social media channels and share it with their networks who might not have realized they were doing that or who might not have considered donating to us before. And also in that line, we're trying to get together our board members to have them create their own fundraising page and promote the campaign and try to raise a certain amount of money.
Excellent. Yeah, I love the fact that you guys are using, again, those people that have the closest relationships with your various audiences and kind of segmenting your communication based on that to kind of make sure that you have the highest likelihood that someone's going to engage with that content. I think that's a hugely underutilized asset when it comes to fundraising and programs, because typically those things are separate. So it's great that you have buy-in on that and are able to facilitate that.
Yeah, we're also doing our Giving Tuesday campaign, kind of speaking to that a little differently than some others. We're launching our campaign tomorrow, ideally, and we have a matching gift from one of our board members, so we're going to be promoting that as well, that every dollar they donate from now through Giving Tuesday will be matched by the board member. So our campaign is open to donations from when we launch it, ideally tomorrow through the end of the day on Giving Tuesday. Because last year we did a Giving Tuesday campaign with just on our website, and a lot of our network isn't very technically savvy necessarily, so they might not see an email one day if it's just on Tuesday. So we had more luck keeping the campaign open for a longer period of time and using it kind of as the beginning of our winter appeal campaign.
Absolutely. I think that's a great strategy. And again, it comes back to an awareness of your audience. And that's so important regardless of whether it's Giving Tuesday or another fundraising campaign, and just making sure you keep that in mind rather than trying to convince your audience to come along with you, but rather meeting them where they are. And so it's great to hear that you guys are doing that and kind of learning from that.
Yeah. I'm trying to think what else we can share.
I love the idea that you guys are going to be sharing those advocate stories and kind of using those as your promotion materials rather than just, hey, asking for money, but rather sharing those personal stories so people can connect with them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we like the idea, I think in one of the CauseVox training videos, to share stories, and these were the most direct stories that we could think of to share the experiences of the people we work with most directly.
Excellent. Well, I appreciate you guys sharing your campaign. Was there anything else that you wanted to share before we kind of switch off to the last organization?
I think we also have a Why New Yorkers for Parks video, which is a video we made for our gala that we're also going to be promoting throughout our campaign, where some advocates are actually featured in the video speaking about why parks and open spaces matter in New York City. So we're also sending out an email along with the advocate features promoting the video and asking people to check it out and ultimately asking them to donate, but also trying to share something with them before asking them for money.
Yeah, and I think using video has always been a huge thing, especially now where video is more of the preferred medium. And so really equipping or communicating your message through that, but then also equipping your supporters to share that and really giving them something clear to share out with their friends and family, which kind of maintains the message that you want to kind of communicate as an organization. So I think that's a great tactic. I think the other thing I wanted to point out, which I think again is a subtle tactic that you guys are using that I think is really valuable, and it kind of goes back to some of the stuff that we talked about with DataKind, is that you're actually using the words of your supporters, or kind of the key tenets of who your supporters are, who these advocates are that care about what the work that you're doing, and allowing them to speak rather than just you guys trying to speak and tell the message in your own words. And so that Why New Yorkers for Parks video is a great representation of that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, great. Caitlin, I really appreciate you sharing. And if there's any feedback for Caitlin or for her team, feel free to drop that in the group chat. Or if you have anything afterwards, you can email me and I'll make sure that her and her team get that information. Same goes with Quentin and the DataKind team. So thanks so much, Caitlin.
Thank you.
If you don't mind, stop sharing your screen and then kind of move on to the last, which is We Robotics. So Viviana, are you there? Oh. Viviana?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now. Thank you so much. Sorry, I think we were unmuting each other at the same, or muting and unmuting at the same time.
I'm muting at the same time. That's right. Thank you so much for this opportunity. I'm really glad that we got to hear all these other participants' strategies. We might not have as many details as the others, but I think we're sharing really for the sake of sharing, and that's kind of our philosophy. So. I'm really happy that we can get some of the information and also receive feedback and share ideas. Would it be possible maybe after the introduction to share my screen as well?
Absolutely. Yeah, you're welcome to share your screen. So there's a share button in the middle of the Zoom meeting where you can share your screen.
Okay, I will try to do that. So, yes. Can I go ahead?
Yep, go ahead.
Great. So basically, just to give you a bit of information about who we are a nonprofit humanitarian organization, and we leverage robotics. We use robotics for communities to have a social good impact. We Robotics is based in the US and in Switzerland. But we have an extension of our organization that it's called Flying Labs. And Flying Labs is basically the way we operate locally with local people and with working with communities to make an impact during humanitarian crisis, for development, for environmental issues. And basically we give the tools and we share the knowledge and the expertise with these local communities, Flying Labs across the world, in Asia, Oceania, South America, and Africa, in order for them to have the capacity, the ability to use technologies to kind of face crisis that they face in their communities, be it natural disasters, or creating sustainability best practices for agriculture. So really what we do find as a challenge for us is that We Robotics is very much driven by the technology that we use, and specifically robots, drones, artificial intelligence applied on drones, and this can be flying drones, but also underwater drones. And what we find challenges for us is really getting away from the technology and focus on the humanity. Because ultimately, what we're trying to do with our local communities, building capacity in local communities, is to give them the tools to be first responders in emergency situations without the intervention of big organizations. So we really work with non-government organizations, with government, with technology partners, so manufacturing and other nonprofits, to really make an impact, to give them an opportunity to do the work themselves. And we do this in the global south, because we understand that as technology develops so fast, we are also, there is a part of the world that is kind of left behind. So we don't want, we don't want that there are external organizations coming to help during disasters, but we want local communities to be empowered with the knowledge and the expertise and the equipment to really run their disaster management programs. I'm going to, so the way we're going to kind of solve this challenge, moving away from the technology and really focusing on what these people are doing at a local community, is really by telling stories. At the moment, we have a very productive blog that, and it's coming this Giving Tuesday, which is our first online fundraising campaign, and it's the first time that we use CauseVox as a platform. Is really coming at a very good timing, at a very good time, because we're just undergoing an expansion of our flying labs. We started with some flying labs in Latin America and South America and South and Africa, and gradually in the last few months we've seen an exponential growth of flying labs that want to participate and be part of the network. So it's very good that we're launching a fundraising right now, because we see that our networking is expanding. Really, we want to highlight some of the stories of these people, some of the accomplishments, some of the that you could see in our blogs, for example, some of the success stories that these flying labs are able to deliver when they're given the right tools to organize conferences, to share knowledge, to educate local entrepreneurs on how to use technology for social good, when they organize workshops, also to so some of these flying labs that already have successful stories of work they have done in their local community, and we want to highlight these stories as successful stories of people really running their flying labs without the help of any other external organizations. So really highlight how local people are helping their own communities with their own best practices and equipment, and of course through the facilitation of robotics. So we want to really focus the attention not really on us, but on the work that the Flying Labs is doing. So local people working for their communities. The way we're going to do this is, we don't have a Giving Tuesday webpage online yet, but we will start promoting the kind of announcing the Giving Tuesday, that we are going to participate in the Giving Tuesday this week. And starting from next week, when the page will be implemented, we will start using all our online resources. So we have a Twitter page, which is very strong, our Facebook page, LinkedIn. We also have a Google group. And we're going to basically share these stories maybe on a twice a week basis with posts that are properly tailored for each platform. And we have 2 upcoming videos, which are the results of some of the projects and missions that we have accomplished in the past few months. So all these projects are culminating between this week and the next week. So we will also use these stories and these short videos for our platforms. The kind of audience that we have is current donors who are already showing an ongoing support to all our initiatives. Also people who are interested and partners that we work with on existing projects that might be able to kind of amplify our requests for fundings. And also because, like I said, we are in this phase of growth with our Flying Labs network kind of expanding across the world. We're going to announce in 2 days, we're going to announce Japan Flying Labs. We are expanding in Africa. In Northern Africa, we're opening a new Flying Labs for Arabic-speaking countries. So we're going to use the networks of these Flying Labs and the supporters of these Flying Labs. We really think that whoever is invested in the cause of the Flying Labs will immediately relate to the fundraising that we're trying to to the money that we're trying to raise. So we're going to use this to leverage this existing and expanding network. And we're going to do this online. So this would be really a test for us in the way we do fundraising online. At the moment, we've always done it through different ways and different approaches. So this is really going to be interesting to see what kind of results we receive.
Yeah, and I think that's really the kind of intent the Rockefeller Foundation had, and our team did as well, is really to help provide that kind of environment to learn and to fail and to also be able to grow. And so it's great to kind of hear both from yourselves, but also from DataKind, that this is really kind of your first step into online fundraising. So I'm excited to see kind of how those results play out and the impact of the community, or the kind of the community effect that you already have, where you have a community of people that support and kind of rally around your work, whether it's partners or individuals, but being able to activate those to raise money for your organization and the efforts to kind of continue to grow that. So we're eager to kind of see how that continues to play out.
Correct. And again, really trying to simplify the language, moving away from the technology and focusing on the impact and the human stories that we share, that we're starting to share in our blog strategy.
Absolutely. Any other specifics that you wanted to share? We only have a few minutes left, so I appreciate kind of your effort to share kind of what you guys are doing as far as an overarching strategy, really focusing on stories. But was there anything else kind of as a last thing before we wrap up?
Maybe one of the things that I also noticed in the previous presentation is also the highlighting some profiles. One of the things that we're very proud of and usually is understated is the presence of women in our Flying Labs. And this is a very tech-driven environment, even though we're talking about humanitarian causes and humanitarian aid. But this is technology-driven, and there is an incredible amount of amazing female drone pilots. One of the first one was in Fiji. So we're going to highlight these profiles also to kind of tie in not just the digital divide in the global south, as one of the main topics that we want to address as an organization by building inclusive participation, but also the fact that we are very diversified in terms of gender and cultural diversity. I think these are things that resonate, especially with donors. They want to see that the money they invest in is going to serve a higher purpose, and we think that being gender aware is also something that we want to promote.
Excellent. Well, I appreciate you sharing you and your teams. I know you guys are still in the process of developing it. So thanks for being vulnerable and kind of sharing where you guys are at today. I really appreciate that. And I think it gives us kind of a scope of, an organization that ran a campaign and is kind of iterating on that, to an organization that's kind of launched and kind of has facilitated more of a volunteer engagement program, to yours, which is more of a larger scale community kind of outreach program. So thanks so much for sharing. And we're grateful.
Thank you.
For that, and eager to see the results of your community efforts or outreach efforts. Again, we're kind of running up on time, so we don't have enough time to do any more Q&A today. However, I'm just grateful that, because I think what we intended to do with this session, we were able to accomplish based on kind of each of these organizations being able to share their plans. So grateful for those 3 organizations that participated. If you have any other questions in regards to Giving Tuesday, your strategy, setting up CosBox, or anything else to do as you continue to prepare, this is the last time we're coming together as a group prior to Giving Tuesday. And so really now it's kind of on you. And so we've pushed out all the information. We've been able to kind of share strategies, best practices, approaches, even some learnings from other organizations. But at this point, if you need help or if you have any further questions, please reach out to our team. We're here to help throughout this bootcamp. We really want to help you drive success. And many of you have already taken advantage of that. And I can see the results of those conversations. And so we're even grateful to be a part of them so we can learn with you. Thanks everyone for joining us. I'm going to send out an invite for the December 4th debrief. However, the focus now is really on promoting your efforts and kind of launching your campaigns. So we're excited to kind of and eagerly waiting to see those come together. And once you have that information, please let myself know here at CosBox, and also be able to turn in your grant requirements to the Rockefeller Foundation. But we will be launching that that landing page highlighting the participants in the bootcamp by the end of the week. And so if you want to be included in that, we do need some sort of information. Many of you have already provided that, but if you haven't, please let me know so that we can add you to that landing page and highlight your organization's efforts. But until next time we chat, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I will be sending out the recording, so feel free to share it with your team. Thanks so much, everyone. Have a great rest of your day.